with a new week, the Rockies trying to turn their fortunes around on a bright, sunshiny Monday evening at Coors Field. And welcome inside 20th and Blake. The Rockies beginning a 4-game set against the Atlanta Braves tonight. And good evening, everybody. Welcome upstairs with my partner, George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. Glad, as always, that you are with us. Today, unfortunately, we begin again with bad news. The Rockies, who are mired in a terrific slump right now, will have 2 more players go on the disabled list. Now, one was not unexpected, Michael Kadire. The next one is Eddie Butler was placed on the DL today with rotator cuff soreness.
Yeah, that's a strange thing. I mean, he felt fine the other day throwing. I watched him in Tulsa. He was throwing the ball very well there. He showed velocity up to 96 miles an hour. But obviously something happened when you started to look at the bullpen, when you went down and tried to throw there. So with the stiffness, the soreness, you're better off taking a prospect like this. You're going to set him on the bench for a while, put him on the DL, and see what's wrong with him.
So Eddie Butler will be gone at least a couple of weeks, and that was the unexpected. Michael Kadire has been battling a shoulder injury ever since diving at third base 3 days ago. He felt like he got a little better yesterday, but not enough that he can really swing a bat.
Well, again, you can't have a roster of 24 guys. Not when you're trying to win and you're going against first-place ball clubs. You got to be able to play the game, and if Michael can't play to his full abilities, you see this outreach dive. A lot of times that's where it becomes dislocated. You get the strain, the stress on the left shoulder where you don't swing the bat properly, and I think that's the big key for him. He wants to be 100% healthy if he's going to go in and play the ball game, and he's not right now.
So the Rockies obviously had to make some accompanying roster moves. Chad Bettis, who's pitching very well at Colorado Springs, is back up with the club. There's a full complement down in that bullpen. The Rockies also will see another pitcher make his major league debut tonight, and we'll tell you about that when we come back. going to get after the Atlanta Braves tonight. Rockies come in 29-33. And after Eddie Butler made his major league debut a few days ago, it is Christian Bergman's turn. The former Anteater. That's right. He's out of Cal Irvine. They're on their way to the College World Series. And this is a great story. He's a 24th round pick. And when 24th round picks make it to the big leagues, it's a cause for celebration.
It is a very good cause for celebration. The scouts should be very happy, the organization happy, because this is true scouting. It's easy to go find the Grays, the Butlers. It's hard to find a guy like Bergman that's going to come to the big leagues. Drew just mentioned 24th round draft pick. You see the minor leagues numbers, very good, but just an ERA in the middle threes. But what he's done at Colorado Springs has been impressive. 1-0, 204 earned run average, 0 in May, and he's made 3 starts there in May. Tells you he can pitch at altitude. He's a guy who's going to keep the ball on the ground. You're going to look at a lot of ground ball outs. He's a 5-pitch mix. He'll throw a cutter 84 to 88, but relies on the fastball, and he's a strike thrower. And that's what's impressive about him. He will pound the zone. You're going to hit it to beat him.
And he's what the Rockies want. He's a guy that keeps it on the ground when things are going well. And I look at those Colorado Springs numbers, one of the toughest places to pitch in minor league baseball. And as George mentioned, a 2.04 ERA this year down at Security Field. We are ready for baseball. We suggest you are as well. The Rockies and Braves, come on back to Coors Field with us. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your neighborhood Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. By Inova Cancer Care, taking a novel approach to cancer care. Learn more about prostate cancer treatment at InovaCC.com. By CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Southwest Airlines, find our fares online only at Southwest.com. This is Game 7 of a 10-game homestand for the Rockies, and as you know, it has not gone well thus far. The Rockies were swept by Arizona and dropped 2 of 3 over the weekend to the Dodgers. Yesterday was a rain-shortened 6-1 loss in 5.5 innings. The starting pitcher for the Dodgers was Clayton Kershaw. He punched down 9. He pitched very well and he beat Jorge De La Rosa. So the Rockies look to get after a team that has always given them fits in the Atlanta Braves. And Christian Bergman on a big league mound for the first time in his career. The 26-year-old is ready to go, and his numbers are brought to you by Inova. Treat prostate cancer in only 5 sessions. Visit InovaCC.com.
And it's been a quick trip through the organization where he's pitched very well. 86 total starts, 36 and 25. You don't see a lot of strikeouts, but you don't see walks. He's going to make you put the ball in play. You can see the whip very good. Walks, hits divided by your innings pitched, 115. As we take a look, what you will see tonight with Mr. Berkman when he's on the mound facing the Atlanta Braves. The fastball, 88 to 93 miles an hour. Slider, curveball, and changeup. He will use a cutter at times, 84 to 88. But he really is out there to try to get ground ball outs, have short innings, work deep into the ball game.
And the first man he will face in his big league career is Jason Hayward. Hayward at 256. Doing a good job atop that lineup after a very slow start. Here's the rest of the batting order for Freddie Gonzalez, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. After Hayward, it'll be B.J. Upton. Upton is 0 for his last 20 at the plate. Freddie Freeman will be next, and you know his reputation against the Rockies. A 362 average, 10 home runs, 25 ribbies. Justin Upton's having a good solid year. He's at 291. Evan Gattis has a 9-game hitting streak. Chris Johnson, Tommy La Stella, who's a rookie playing second base. That's been a problematic spot for them this year. Andrelton Simmons is the 8-hole hitter and the outstanding shortstop. And then the former White Sox, Gavin Floyd, making his second start against the Rockies in the last couple of weeks. Bergman is ready to go. The ball has been thrown down. And the Rockies, as we stated a short while ago, looking to find a way to produce some victories despite the myriad of injuries that they have sustained of late.
Now, the longest walk you have as a rookie pitcher is from that bullpen to the dugout, because all the memories, all the things you've thought about your whole life of what it was going to be like, and now it's happening.
Harnessing those emotions is always a difficult proposition, and the first pitch at 88, just off the plate, ball one. And perhaps that was not off the plate. It looked like it was on the edge of the fourth strike zone. And that's right to short and underneath the glove of Troy Tulowitzki. Don't see that much. I'm sure he'll give him a hit on it. It was hit sharply, but Troy had gotten there. He's kind of positioned up the middle, just went under his glove.
Well, when a guy throws 88 to 91 sinkers, you treat up the middle, particularly when he's a pull hitter on the ground. And this time, Tulowitzki, you just don't see this often on a Mike Shaw Super Mo. You will not see it very often from Tulowitzki.
So a leadoff single for Hayward. B.J. Upton at the plate, and Upton trying to bunt his way on, fouls it off.
Still not swinging the bat the way the Braves would like, obviously, but he swung the bat well against the Rockies.
Well, they had hit up on the board and error, which would be hard to do, and now they've taken the hit away, and it is an error on Tulowitzki.
Tough error.
Though I will tell you this, it was hit sharply, but if you ask Troy, he was right there, and it's a play he makes, 98% of the time. Just the third error on Tulowitzki. Leads all major league shortstops in assists per game and also fielding percentage. Swung on and missed, and B.J. Upton has to make a left turn. First big league strikeout for Christian Bergman.
The way he worked the plate here, he gave him a bunt early. That was strike one, and came back, but was able to get away with a pitch. It was a cutter, and it was up in the zone. On a Mike Shaw Subaru Super Mo, you take a look, the cutter kind of backs up, but it's in a good position because it's in enough and above the hands.
Put the shift on for Freddie Freeman. And Freeman lifts one to deep right field, and making a leaping catch is Blackman. And returning to first base is Hayward. Nice play, Charlie Blackman, as he crashed into the wall. Let's take a look at the Excel Energy defensive alignment for the Rockies. Excel Energy, visit responsiblebynature.com to learn more. Dickerson, Stubbs, Blackman. The Rockies overall third in the National League in fielding percentage. Culberson at third, LeMahieu at second, Morneau at first. Michael McHenry doing the catching. Willeen Rosario did catch yesterday. And this makes sense to have McHenry back there with Bergman, because he was catching him for this most of the spring in Colorado Springs.
Well, I think the difficult thing for a young pitcher too is to trust his stuff and go with his strength. A lot of times you read the reports, you look at the video of a team you're starting against, and you start to think or get a negativity into your mind. Oh, I can't make this pitch, or I can't make that pitch. And I think the one thing you will see out of him is he'll execute his game plan. He'll attack the strike zone, and he will go with his strengths.
Confident kid who's kept a chip on his shoulder, getting an opportunity. He's really done a good job at every level. Glad we showed that graphic, Frage, off the top. That this isn't like a one-year wonder who kind of stumbled into AAA and is having a nice year. Really, at every level, he's performed well.
He's performed very well, and I think that's the key. He's gone out in Modesto, won 16 ball games last year, 7 and 8 in Tulsa, which is not indicative of the way he pitched at all.
Got a 1-2 count on Justin Upton. Slider just off the plate.
You know, Drew's talking about the journey he has taken. Casper, he relieved 9 times. There in Casper was 1-4, difficult place to play. Then Tri-Cities, he won 7. Modesto breakout, 16-5, 365. He came to Tulsa with an 8-7 record. Could have very easily won double digits there. With the way he pitched, and then this year in Colorado Springs, much the same. Not a lot of run support.
You know, he reminds me of Bronson Arroyo, who we just saw.
Well, yeah, you see the long hair, and then you see the whip action on the baseball, the ability to spin it, different movement on the baseball.
Three and 2. Hayward will be off with the pitch, and this is grounded foul. Atlanta's lost their last 2 ball games. Speaking of Arizona, that's where they just were. Lost 6-5 yesterday. Craig Kimbrell blew a save on Saturday, which, you know, happens every time you see like the Halley's Comet float over the horizon.
Actually,
strike 3 outside corner, and a very nice first inning for Christian Bergman. A couple of punch outs, and he had to get, according to the official score, 4 outs. So a nice start for Bergman. We'll see the Rockies on offense against Gavin Floyd when we come back. Offense could give him some run support. Charlie Blackmon, who made that fine catch in deep right field, will lead things off, as he generally does. He's at 302 with 11 home runs. And the rest of the order brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Walt's got Drew Stubbs in the 2 spot. Morneau bat third, then Tulowitzki, who homered yesterday, supplying the Rockies with their only run against Clayton Kershaw. Dickerson, McHenry will bat 6, Culberson, DJ LeMahieu, and Bergman. Gavin Floyd. Last year out the entire season. He had Tommy John surgery, returned in early May for Atlanta. First season with the Braves, and he's usually a big-time strike thrower. Impressed me just a little more than a year after Tommy John surgery, George. He was throwing 93, 94 when we were down in Atlanta.
27 strikeouts and 30 in the third innings so far for Gavin Floyd. Only 33 hits given up. This was on a make good contract. If you're healthy, you come to the spring training, make our ball club. He went down and made some rehab starts in AAA this year. And he came to the big leagues. He's pitched very well for him. An 0-2 record, but a very fine earned run average of 2.70.
And that's outside at 92, so it's 2 balls and a strike. Boy, the Rockies have always struggled with the Atlanta Braves. You go back to that first season of 1993, the Rockies faced the Braves 13 times, didn't win a game against Atlanta. This ball cued toward third, and Chris Johnson will throw to first, 1 out. Take a look at more of the particulars on Gavin Floyd. Brought to you by Inova, non-surgical treatment of prostate cancer. Visit InovaCC.com. George?
And what has jumped out on Gavin Floyd is the fact that he's only walked 9. 31 strikeouts, the home runs. He keeps the ball in the ballpark. The average at 301, only because more hits than innings pitched, which is pretty minimal to that point. Can really control an inning. This is a veteran pitcher. 70 and 72 in his career.
At the knees for a strike on Drew Stubbs, who continues to sting the baseball. He punched out a couple times yesterday against Kershaw, but 2 days ago he found the barrel every time he went to the plate. And that's in there also. Home plate umpires Gabe Morales. Chris Conroy is working first base. Paul Emmel at second. Jordan Baker is at third. Stubbs 6 for 16 on the homestand. He's hit a home run and driven in 4. Here's the 1-2 to Drew. Change up down low. 2-2. And this is on the ground to Simmons. 2 gone. Let's take a look at Atlanta defensively. It's brought to you by Excel Energy. Visit ResponsibleManager.com today to learn more. They have several Gold Glovers in their lineup. Jason Hayward in right field. Andrelton Simmons at shortstop. Freddie Freeman's a real good fielder at first base. There's the rookie. He's been in the big leagues less than 2 weeks. Tommy La Stella at second base. You know, they've used Ramiro Pena there. They used Dan Uggla there. And this is a swinging bunt. It'll stay fair. Gaddis slides, throw to first in time to get Morneau. So the Rockies go quietly in the first inning, and we move on to inning number 2. No score at Coors Field. Rockies and Atlanta Braves.
Christian Bergman making his major league debut on the mound, had a nice first inning, and he's got a familiar guy behind the plate with him. Michael McHenry caught him in New Orleans when he made his first start for the AAA Sky Sox this year, so he's got him back there again.
A debut is a debut. It's always hard. You got to fight a lot of demons. You know, you've been working your whole life to get to this point, but he's an even kill guy. Just going to make sure he stays that way. He knows what he needs to do. We already went over the scouting report yesterday, and with his stuff, he just got to go out and pitch.
Interesting, Evan Gattis is stepping to the plate, guys. He was drafted 704th in 2010, 740th for Bergman, 23rd and then 24th rounds.
Well, you always like athletes, George, to pick up on Mark's story, that have a chip on their shoulder, and I alluded to it in the first inning. 24th round pick, and what that means is that you're going to get an opportunity as long as you perform, but you may not have the marquee that the first and second round guys do every time you pitch, and everybody a buzz when you take the mound and you're a high pick and there's a lot of money invested in you, and he's taken that chip on his shoulder and he's run with it.
Well, the opportunities are short, and because they do draft guys in the 24th round every year, another guy could come in right behind him. The Rockies, who have drafted 24th rounders and made it to the big leagues in their career, there's been a few, and how long have they played? There's been two guys that have spent a lot of time at the big league level, not necessarily with the Colorado Rockies. Quentin McCracken, 999 games, drafted in the 25th round. Mark Strittmatter, 4 ball games. Mark Bronson, remember him? He pitched Brownson through that beautiful shutout, complete game shutout against the Houston Astros.
I'll show you the complete list here in a moment. 2-2 on Gattis, and he fouls that pitch off.
And Terry Jones was another guy who spent time in the big leagues, and E.Y. Jr., 446 games, was a 30th round pick. Bruce Billings got to the big leagues this year. Tommy Field last year.
Well, the two guys that had the biggest impact were Q, Quentin McCracken, and E.Y. Jr. Evan Gattis, big, strong dude. Speaking of a guy that was a late round pick, Gattis was a 23rd round pick. He was out of baseball for more than 3 years. Didn't pick up a bat, a glove, a ball, nothing. Last year as a rookie at more than 20 home runs. Here's the 2-2. And this is hit the deep center field. Stubbs will have a play. That'll bring up Chris Johnson, and will also take us to a reminder to tweet your questions using the hashtag Toyota Talk. And we'll get to as many questions as we can during the 5th inning of every game. Toyota Talk in the 5th inning, and also the post-game show. Here's Huey Strachey one. You seen that yet, George?
No, I haven't.
Little hole in one, and won a Toyota truck, pretty good deal. Chris Johnson just 8 for his last 44 at the plate, and that misses 2-0. And a weak ground ball to short. Tulo's got it. 2 outs.
Well, the difference, if you're looking for Butler versus Bergman in their debut, Eddie Butler was a younger kid. He was 23 years old. Christian, 26 years old, a little over 26 years old, and he's made that trek all the way through the minor leagues, the long bus rides at Modesto, Tri-Cities. Hides the ball well. It's a quick front side, which can make it deceiving on hitters. .91-mile-an-hour fastball. 25 pitches, 17 strikes so far.
This kid at the plate, Tommy LaStella, just brought up recently. His first ball game was at Fenway Park. He went 2 for 4 in his big league debut. which was May 28th. Okay range, got a little pop in his bat. AA Mississippi last year was the Braves Player of the Year at that level. Their 9th rated prospect entering the 2014 season, originally an 8th round pick in 2011. And this ball is lifted to left center field pretty deep. Dickerson will get back and make a catch. So we've seen good plays by both corner outfielders so far in the first couple of innings. In the first, it was Blackman going to the wall, and there was Dickerson in the second going very close to the wall. Middle of 2, no score. And one bit of news that we can pass along, they did in the pregame show at 4:36 this afternoon. The Rockies sent out a tweet that Carlos Gonzalez tomorrow will have exploratory surgery on that left index finger that has been problematic. It will happen at the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio, which means Cargo is not returning in a mere 15 days when his stint on the DL list is over. So just one tough luck story after another the last few days for the Rockies. Here's Tulowitzki. He's been a bright light this year for the Rockies, leading the entire nation. American League, National League, Little League, American Legion, everybody in hitting. 361, 17 home runs, 42 RBIs. I don't know if he's leading the nation among Little Leaguers.
Well, I'm figuring you're going to get a letter tomorrow from some Little League mother that goes, my son's hitting 587.
That's right.
35 home runs. And that's okay, Mom. I'm happy for him.
That's right. At least to the big boys. The big boy league, he's leading everybody. 2-strike count on Tulo. Kershaw challenged him yesterday. Punched out Tulo after a couple of long foul balls in the first inning. This one's lined right at Upton, 1 out. And then the second inning, after he lost that battle on a called strike 3, he launched one into the seats. So Troy will walk off after lining out, and that'll bring up Corey Dickerson. Since that game was a completed, I put that in quotations, game, and Kershaw was not relieved, he gets credit for a complete game. So it's the 12th complete game in Kershaw's terrific career. There's the bunt attempt. It goes foul.
That's funny you say career, and he's been out there for a while. This winter, of course, different times, and I understand that for the folks at home. Gaylord Perry made 41 starts and had 29 complete games one year, 344 innings.
Something else, huh? Different era.
Yeah, different era. Did it 4 different times, though.
Wonder if we'll get back to that, George. You think
never
baseball
will happen? It will never happen. I don't think I don't think guys trained to do that. B, I don't think agents will let it happen. Quite honestly, when you start extending guys 7, 8 innings every time, they're going to make the phone call. What are you trying to do? Kill him? You can't throw that many innings. And I think that's where, you know, and you look back in history, guys that have thrown the 250 to 280 of recent years when teams have gone to the World Series, they've not been the same guy the next year.
One and two. On the swing, according to home plate umpire Gabe Morales. And Dickerson is the first strikeout victim of Gavin Floyd. 2 outs, and Michael McHenry will come up.
I guess Morales didn't even want to talk about it at all. Corey kind of stood around like, did you maybe want to check or do a little bit? Yeah, you know, that's pretty close. Again, I've showed this many times. This is what the umpire's looking at it. When he makes that call, he thought he committed his swing. Gaddis checked it, and the tag was applied.
Oh, and 1 on McHenry. McHenry made an emergency start on Saturday. Wasn't originally in the starting lineup. Willeen Rosario felt lightheaded before the ball game, and he went out and went 2 for 3 with a walk, including a double, and he has the Rockies' first base hit tonight.
You like to see a hitter, particularly power hitters. You know they're going good, feeling good when you see them take an outside pitch and go to the opposite field with it versus trying to pull it. You see that on the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Bowl. Ball's away from him, it's elevated, and he shot it right past Freeman into right field to Hayward.
McHenry's now 5 for 9 since being recalled. Charlie Culberson will step up. On Friday, Charlie went 2 for 4 with a single and a run scoring triple. Also flew out to the wall and right. Charlie getting a lot of time now in the absence of Nolan Arenado, and Kadire was playing there a little bit, but now Michael with that shoulder ailment back on the DL. Which means most days, or a lot of days, as Ryan Wheeler's up now, you're going to see Culberson at third. You know, since Nolan got hurt, that's a strike. The Rockies are 3-12, and they've lost 9.5 games in the standing because, as the Rockies have fallen off in his absence and others, the Giants have gone just hog wild.
Red hot is what San Francisco has been.
They're 42-21 entering Monday night. It's a good slider. Giants are at home to Washington later on this evening. The injury to Arenado came down in Atlanta on May 23rd. And with the dirt ball, Gaddis will not be able to get McHenry.
A lot of times a catcher takes his time because a catcher is running, and he can think he can utilize his footwork to make an accurate throw. That's when you are inaccurate. And that time, Gaddis obviously, watch when he catches the ball. It's not nonchalant. It's a matter of just getting his feet collected and taking his time to make a strong throw, and it was wide of second base.
It's a good job by McHenry. You read the ball down, take off. So now you get a 2-out hit, and the Rockies can ostensibly steal a run. 2-2 on Culberson. He went back to that cutter, and he took it just off the plate. A good eye by Charlie. The way that's scored, by the way, is wild pitch. Who wants tacos? Remember, when the Rockies score 7 or more during any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. You know how to pick your days, George. You were flying into town last night. You missed all the rain.
I actually flew in this morning, so I really missed it.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Ball-driven foul.
5:30 a.m. wake-up call in Tulsa, Oklahoma, pouring down rain and left to the beautiful sunshine of Colorado. But it was a little ugly last night.
Well, they pulled the tarp around 5:40 and it looked like they were going to start up again a little after 6, and then another cell came through and it wasn't going to back off, so they ended up calling the game. Inside, and Culberson draws a walk. That'll bring up LeMahieu. 2 on with 2 outs. DJ hitting .283 against righties, .277 against lefties. He's hit a home run on this homestand. In fact, he hit 2 home runs last week, his first 2 of the year.
Well, I think part of the conversation there, LeMahieu is not your normal 8-hole hitter. He swings the bat extremely well. .278 right now. That we have Christian Bergman, a rookie, sitting in the on-deck circle. If you want to go around him or you want to go right at him, what would you like to do? Bergman had a couple of hits last year in Tulsa when he played against National League teams. Go right at LeMahieu.
DJ went 0 for 4 against Floyd in Atlanta. Now it's a 2-strike count. Take a look at Atlanta's staff under Freddie Gonzalez. Real steady baseball organization. So many years with Bobby Cox, Freddie Gonzalez, originally a Brave. Got Greg Walker, Roger McDowell. Everybody sings his praises as pitching coach. Terry Pendleton's been with him forever. Longtime hitting coach, now first base coach. Doug DeCenzo moved up within the system. He's now at third base. Carlos Tosca and Eddie Perez running the bullpen. Frank Wren, the general manager, on the trip with Atlanta.
So is John Sherholz, former general manager and president of baseball operations.
Atlanta's busy going into the All-Star break. There are 41 dates left. They'll play 39 games. 1-2 again. And the strikeout of LeMahieu ends the inning. Second strikeout for Gavin Floyd. Rockies leave 2 aboard. We'll go to the third. No score. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Ford Escape. Smart, safe, and fun to drive. Ford Escape, go further. By the Colorado Lottery, don't forget to play. And by Southwest Airlines, find your fares online only at southwest.com. To the third inning we go. No score. Christian Bergman in his big league debut has been terrific thus far. Andrelton Simmons will lead things off for the Braves out of the 8th hole in inning number 3. Let's check in again with Mark Stout. Mark?
All right, George, here we are right behind home plate. And what a great seat for Karen Bergman, Christian's mom. You got to be excited.
I am. I'm thrilled and I'm speechless, too.
How else would you describe this as you become a major league mom?
It's beyond words. I can't even believe I'm here.
So down the aisle, we have your sister, Maria. She's actually from Loveland.
Yes.
Laura is Christian's girlfriend, and Jeff is his best friend.
Right.
Maria lives in Loveland.
She does. Yep.
So, and she's got a Rockies gear on. Have you been to Coors Field before?
I was about 4 years ago. I was here, and I sat somewhere over there with some really good friends of ours, Karen and Greg Baller, who are here tonight as well. So
you came in from Texas?
Yes.
This is popped up to right. Christian told me that the first person he called was you. Tell me about that phone call.
Well, I was getting my hair done and I couldn't say anything, so I just held my breath because I thought I knew where he was going with this, and I didn't know whether to laugh, whether to cry. I was just speechless. Didn't sleep well that night. I was on the phone all the next day. It was just wild. It really was.
He was a 24th round pick out of Cal Irvine. He said, when I asked him about getting to the big leagues, I asked, did you think you would? And he said to me, yeah, because you have to be delusional in this game in order to think that in that kind of a round. It's been some kind of a trip for him.
It has, but he always believed it, and I think that's what's important. If he doesn't believe it, then, you know.
Enjoy the rest of the game, Karen. Great to talk to you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Drew, George?
Yeah, what a special moment. You know, as parents, you watch or coach your kid through, little league and youth leagues and maybe travel ball, and watch them play in high school if you're fortunate enough, and sometimes even if you're real fortunate that a kid can go on to college. Pro ball now, Major League Baseball, and you sit there and you look around and say, this is a little different than that lawn chair or folding chair that I used to bring to all the parks.
Yeah, but you know what? The nerves never change.
No,
whether it's watching your son try out for a 9th grade baseball team, whether it's watching him try out for a summer travel league team, you're as nervous as you are tonight. I mean, it's still the same nervousness. It's just the surroundings have changed.
What a story, and what a first time through the lineup, George, as he strikes out Gavin Floyd. The only base runner was Jason Hayward. He reached on an error by Tulowitzki leading off the game. 3 strikeouts, a ground ball, several fly balls, as he sets his sights on Hayward again. 1-0 on Jason.
It's always that second time through the lineup that you start to wonder and make sure that you have the ability, particularly against a veteran team, a good team that's tied for first place now in the National League East.
And Hayward hooks this down the line. It's going to go in the seats back. 2-1. Jason had an 11-game hitting streak going. That was snapped yesterday. Hit 354 during that stretch. He homered down in Arizona a couple times.
6 of 10, 60% first pitch strikes. Pretty good number.
He looks, George, with his arm angle. I mean, he's not lighting up the radar gun. He's 89, 90, but it looks like it's with the arm angle, it gets on you a little bit.
But let me ask you a question. You said lighting it up 89, 90, right? If you're getting people out, it really doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
It's the ball's down, because right now, if you sit and watch Jhoulys Chacín, he's 87 to 90. He's not lighting up a radar gun, but he has a track history, so you overlook that because he's a veteran pitcher. And as a young pitcher, you're expecting, because of how much velocity is made of today, that you're sitting around looking and, oh my gosh, this guy's got to be 97. Well, no, he's really not. He just knows how to pitch.
Yeah, that had a lot of sink on it at 91. Another 1-2-3 inning for Christian Bergman. His fourth strikeout. This was well located. For the Rockies, time now for the big hit presented by Mako, the company that repairs all kinds of hits. Brandon Barnes, Rockies with an 8-game losing streak. Barnes in the 10th inning, off the middle of the right field wall, deep right center field to be more specific, drove in Justin Morneau at the game winner. And then a full-on bath from LaTroy Hawkins. Check out your local Mako for collision repairs and auto paint for as low as $449. Visit Mako.com today. Christian Bergman getting a lot of firsts out of the way. This will be his first big league at bat. And he takes ball one.
I can tell you now, you're more nervous swinging the bat as a young guy than you are pitching it, a baseball, because you pitch it all the time. You just never hit. You're out of your comfort zone right now.
Chopped up the middle, base hit. Come on, get it all out of the way. First at bat, first big league knock. Bob can't believe it. Where'd that come from?
You got a pretty nice story unfolding here at Coors Field in front of Mom and other relatives here at the ballpark. He gets a fastball out over the plate, hits it right back up the middle, out of the reach. La Stella at second base and on into the outfield.
This league getting that hard, Mom?
Yeah.
Blackman gets the sac bunt down, and Bergman to second base.
Need a gift for Dad? The MLB.com at-bat app and a subscription to its premium features on his favorite smartphone or tablet are a perfect Father's Day gift. For more details, visit MLB.com.
Drew Stubbs grounded to short 2 innings ago. You know, since the injury to Arenado, the 3-12 record, the Rockies, and this ball's lined to right center field. Hayward would get over and make the catch. Stubbs hit that one hard. 2 outs. The Rockies, since that injury, the last 15 games, their runs per game have gone way down, and their ERA, which has You would think, little to do with there or not unless they're hitting it in his direction, and then you're out, as we all know. Has added about 2 runs a game.
Not a good combination.
Justin Morneau, a lot of experience against Gavin Floyd. Does not have a high average against him, slightly under 200, but he does have 3 home runs against Floyd. He had a swinging bunt his first time out, thrown out by the catcher Evan Gattis. And look out, that's pulled foul. Justin just 3 for his last 28. And there are times you go 3 for 28 and it looks like you're in a 3 for 28. And then there are times you go 3 for 28 and you feel like I'm not in a bad place. I'm hitting the ball hard. And that's more how you would describe Justin Morneau the last week.
Well, obviously Ford respects what he has seen on video and what he's done against him in the previous years. Staying out of that inner half of the plate.
Outfield straight up and respectful of the tremendous pop in the bat of Justin Morneau. Here's the 2-1 off the plate, 3-1. Some more specifics on since Arenado went down. The Rockies have hit just .236, averaged 3.4 runs a game. Wells Fargo customers, here's a reminder, get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by going to wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Wells Fargo Bank, member FDIC.
You ever worn a bow tie?
Let me think about that. Yeah.
You know how to tie one?
Hold on a second. I don't know how to tie one. I wore one at my wedding.
Well, that doesn't count. That was one of those clip-ons.
I wore one at one of my proms, maybe a couple of them. Popped up, Simmons in short left field makes the catch, and the Rockies leave Bergman at second base. Onward we move. 4th inning upcoming. Rockies and Braves scoreless. A base hit last inning, now completing his warm-up pitches. He was asked during his introductory news conference to describe how he goes about his business.
I'm a guy who throws a lot of strikes. I'm going to go right after hitters. make adjustments mid-game if I have to, and just, you know, is aggressive with all his pitches and throws all his pitches for strikes.
And so far, Frage, that's what he's done.
He absolutely has, and he's deceptive with his delivery. He's got a very quick high front side that kind of flips at you, and he keeps his arm along that body line very well, and then goes right at guys. I think that's been the biggest key in success for him so far.
So Bergman will face B.J. Upton, Freddie Freeman, and B.J.'s younger brother, Justin Upton. You know what B.J. stands for, right, George, in the family, the Upton family?
Brian Jeffrey.
No. Bossman Jr. The reason, you asked, is because
that was his grandfather.
No, B.J. and Justin's dad, Manny, his longtime nickname was Boss Man.
Okay.
And Manny was a football and baseball star at Norfolk State. Passed that love on of sports to his sons. This could be tough play for Culberson. No play. B.J. Upton, who can fly with an infield hit. And that's the first knock allowed by Christian Bergman. So Bossman Jr., B.J., that's his name. I'll bring up Freddie Freeman. B.J. back in at first base. 1-0 the count on Freeman, who hit a deep fly ball to right that Blackman made a great catch up against the wall. Freeman 5th in the National League in the MVP voting last year. Hit .319 with 23 home runs, drove in 109 for the Braves as they captured the National League East by a significant margin.
Yeah, things a little different this year. Washington playing very good baseball. Miami, surprisingly, without Fernandez, is playing good baseball.
Washington's come on. The beginning of play today in the National League of the 15 teams, there were 7 above 500, 8 below 500. Here's the NL East. Look at this, a three-way dead heat.
Well, 7 games separate top to bottom. I mean, at this point of the season, if you're 7 games back, you got a pretty good chance.
Upton takes off. McHenry's throw hits Upton, and enough that he drops to his knees. Had he not been hit by that throw, or not been hurt by the throw, I should say, he would have ended up at third base.
Well, never good to get hit right in the very small of that back. That appears to be where the ball catches him as he slides into second base. The ball ricocheted out into left field. Tulo came over to try to pick the ball out of the dirt. Then it caught him right there above the belt line.
10th stolen base for Upton.
Yeah, you can see where that ball catches him right above the belt, almost like a kidney shot. That's why pretty uncomfortable after that.
good changeup, and that evidently just missed. First walk allowed by Bergman, and now they're 2 on and nobody out.
Check the forward strike zone. Apparently it was a little bit off. You see McHenry try to pull that ball back in where he received it into the corner. It just looked good to everybody, including us.
And now Justin Upton at the plate.
Strikeout victim on a hard slider down and away, called third strike. He wasn't happy about it.
First sticky situation of Bergman's big league career. Wants to get a ground ball. Home run hack from Upton. He's hit 14 of those this year. But the day Mr. and Mrs. Upton had a couple seasons ago, when on the same day BJ and Justin hit their 100th home runs respectively.
Planned. It was all planned. I'm saying it was all planned.
Must have been, right?
Yeah, it had to be.
They were the youngest set of brothers in the game's history to accomplish the feat. And not surprisingly, the first ever to do it on the same day. 1-1 on Justin, outside 2-1. There's some booing going on, and
that's the tomahawk chop. You got the Braves fans doing the tomahawk chop, trying to get something going here, and you got the Rockies fans saying no.
Oh, good. That's what they're drowning out.
Yeah, exactly. Got to defend that home, man. Big swing too from Upton on this last pitch. Came in. He's got 31 pitches, 19 strikes, a cutter that did not cut, but again, similar results because of the position of the baseball.
Two and two. Inside 3-2.
He's not repeating location. He's going slider away, fastball in, slider away, fastball in.
Justin's hitting 380 at Turner Field. He's hitting just 200 out on the road. And that's pulled foul. I'm looking at Doug DeCenso, their third base coach, George. He never, usually, you know, guys with a runner at second, they're going to move down the line. So they're really only about 80, 75 feet from the hitter, which is an uneasy feeling when you have a right-handed, big, strong power hitter like Upton. That ball bounced past him. He never moved his eyes to see where the baseball was.
Guess he's going to take the shot. Not sure why. Well, maybe because he went to Oklahoma State. Had to take the shot when you can, right? Got to get Brian Jones something, the coordinator for the Rockies in video department. Something to talk about.
This ball well hit right center field, and it's caught out there by Blackman. BJ will tag and move to third. 1 out, and that'll bring up Evan Gattis. Last time the Rockies saw Evan Gattis, he was doing a lot of trotting around the bases. This was against Franklin Morales. He had a couple of home runs on May the 25th. George, I was talking to him before the ball game, shook hands. Let me tell you what, this dude is big and
man.
Strong and powerful. I mean, he's got meat and hooks for hands.
The last time you saw a stance like this, you start to look at it, was Bagwell down in Houston, wide, kind of squatted down.
We were talking about that. We met because I said, have you always done that? He said, I was a little, stood a little taller in the minor leagues, but I've kind of crouched down. I mentioned Bagwell to him, and he kind of smiled.
Did he know who he was?
Oh, yeah. This is slowly hit up the third base line, and it's going to score a run. Good job by Culberson to get the out. And the Braves get a run on that ground ball. So it's 1-0 Atlanta, and RBI number 29 for Evan Gattis.
There's nothing you can do with it just to try to make the bare hand play. You're playing behind the bag only because of the power hitters up at the plate. Culberson does a really nice job coming in and getting to the baseball, then the hard flip over to get the out. You can see Upman in the background, Upton scoring. Nice play by Charlie on the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Mo. Gets Gattis by a stride and a half.
Freeman at second, and Chris Johnson fouls that off. Johnson, a .352 career hitter against the Rockies. The Braves have won 6 of their last 7 encounters with the Rockies at Coors Field, and overall are 20-5 the last 25 ball games. They took 2 of 3 down in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. And that's a base hit. Coming quickly is Stubbs, and he's not going to be able to get Freddie Freeman. It's 2-0.
A little bit of a bobble there with the baseball when it got to the outfield. Probably cost any opportunity for Stubbs to be able to throw out Freeman. Just 15 RBIs now for Chris Johnson on the season to go along with those couple of home runs Drew talked about. Out of the hand of Christian Bergman, slider stayed right in the middle of the plate, broke down, and Johnson, nice job of hitting. Didn't try to do too much with it, just took it right back up the middle. That little bobble right there when the ball got to the outfield. Not to say that Stubbs would have been able to handle this, only because to get him on a clean slate, but you weren't going to have one after the bobble.
Tommy La Stella, who hit a deep fly ball to left his first time, takes down low. Tommy hit above .340 last year at Mississippi in Double-A.
You create your opportunities, just like Christian Bergman has here. I mean, the injuries obviously have opened the door a little quicker. Now you're getting a taste of it. You go out and try to make a mark for yourself, like La Stella hit .400 coming into this game.
Well, and you know, when there's a need, and second base has become a need position for the Braves. Dan Uggla put up so many years of large home run totals. He just can't hit for average anywhere close to respectable average. Last couple of years, he was kept off the postseason roster in the playoffs a year ago, and just an occasional start now for Atlanta. Uggla hitting .168 against righties, .174 against lefties. This ball to Dickerson will end the inning, but there were a couple of hits and a walk as well in the inning, and the Braves scored twice. Middle of 4, 2-0 Atlanta.
Rockies trail 2-0 as we go bottom 4. Troy Tulowitzki going to lead off this half inning for the Rockies. He's been something else at home. And that brings us to the cool stat of the night, which is brought to you by Steel T Heating and Air. Never a trip charge with a repair. That's a $69 value. Go to steelt.com. Steel T, the T stands for trust. Coming into tonight, this isn't a player's first 27 games, minimum 80 plate appearances. Look where Tulo sits at 500 in home games. 3 of the other 4 names on that list in the Hall of Fame. And I think Todd Helton will be someday as well. So good company, Drew and George, for Tulo when you're talking about hitting it home early in the season.
Yeah, when you're throwing names like Rogers, Hornsby out there, that's pretty good company. Chuck Klein, Helton. And Tulo takes a breaking ball up and in, ball 1. Troy lined out to left his first at bat. On the ground to second. La Stella gets rid of it. 1 out. Corey Dickerson struck out his first time. So Dickerson this year, you want to talk about versatile. He's hitting every spot in the lineup this year. Every ninth. He has 11 plate appearances in the 9-hole this year.
Does he? Pinch hitting.
Has to be pinch hitting, yeah.
Double switch.
Spot he's most frequently been in. He's actually been the 5-hole. Is that right, Doug? Can I read your handwriting? Or the 2-hole? 2-hole. Two and 1 on Dickerson. Rockies in the 4th, trailing 2-0. Rockies have to find a way, Frage, to hold serve for a while with all of the injuries and this stretch where they've played poorly.
Personally, I think they need to do a couple of things. One, hold serve. There's a wall over there. That hold that and let a starter's got to get into the 6th, 7th innings consistently to give a little wear and tear off of that bullpen.
It always begins with starting pitching. I couldn't agree with you more. Rockies on the DL this season. Brett Anderson and Tyler Chatwood remain on the DL. Jordan Lyles just landed on the DL. Michael Kadire now on the DL as of today for the 2nd time this year. You know Arenado's situation. Cargo, if you missed it, we'll have exploratory surgery tomorrow at the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio. No idea when he'll return. Boone Logan has an elbow situation. He started the year recovering from off-season surgery to remove bone chips from his elbow.
Here's the key for me. There's 11 guys on that list. Okay, 9 of those 11 started the season on the active roster. Almost half of your roster on the disabled list at some point this year. Okay, What other team in baseball has had that happen to them? Not Atlanta Braves. They lost a lot of their rotation.
They lost 2 guys to Tommy John surgery before the season began.
But I'm talking about everyday players that you've lost, and the pitching staff here also. And I'm not trying to make excuses. Facts are facts.
Well, you hope to have a year where you have a modicum of good health, but you do understand in sports that you're going to have injuries. It's not if, it's when. And then you hope that it's not too significant. And not that you want anybody to get hurt, but you need your key people to stay on the field as long as possible. But it doesn't matter. Rockies have to find their way through it. And one of the points I was leading to, George, is over their next 8 series, beginning tonight with the Braves, all 8 opponents over the next month are above 500 teams.
Oh, it's not going to be an easy trip. There's no way that it's going to be easy to try to walk through this. You're not going to walk through it.
Here's McHenry.
I thought every team was either in first or second place that they had to play over the next few weeks.
Well, Atlanta's in a tie for first place. Then you go to San Francisco. First. They have the best record in baseball. Then you go to LA to face the Dodgers again. They're in second place in the NL West. Then you come home, Milwaukee. They're in first place in the NL Central. The Cardinals follow them in. They're right behind them. Then you go to Milwaukee, and then you go to Washington, and Washington has come on in the National League East. It's a three-way tie there. And then you have the Dodgers for 4. The next team you'll play that's below 500 is on July 7th when the Padres come to town, and that should be interference.
It is. Jordan Baker, first base umpire, or excuse me, Chris Conroy, pointing down to second base.
That'll be an error on Gavin Floyd.
You know what happened here? The trainer and the manager both coming out to check on Gavin Floyd. Something to do with the knee.
All right, bad throw, and then Freeman trying to get to the baseball, ended up blocking the path of Dickerson. So yeah, even had they thrown him out, he would have been ruled safe.
One of the biggest things here is right now it's Gavin Floyd. I mean, for this ball club, it's been a great story so far. But he's a guy coming off Tommy John. You can't have him with a bad wheel out front trying to alter things. Let's take a look when he made the pick to first base. Yeah, rolled the ankle.
Yep.
That's what he did. See if he can go through. Probably try to get through the rest of this inning and then get a quick ankle job taped up when he gets back inside.
So McHenry at the plate with a 1-0 count as we resume.
Well, you mentioned McHenry has been very, very hot. By the way, Texas has 12 players on the disabled list. They've been hit awfully hard. So Prince Fielder, Soto, Profar, Kuzmanov, Orlando, Matt Harrison, Holland. I mean, they've had some big injuries also, and it's reflective of their ball club and where they stand.
That's a strike. It's 1-2. Walt was talking about it earlier, and I think every manager does. You know, when you make the final cuts in spring training, you send guys out who are close to making your club. Say, hey, listen, it's a long year. We're going to need a lot more than the 25 that head north initially. That's true for every single club, and it always has been. McHenry walks off, 2 outs. It's a third strikeout for Gavin Floyd. Subaru brings you the manager's challenge. If there's a questionable call, instant replay will be used to determine the outcome. It's brought to you each night by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
No, usually when you have those meetings and it's at the exhibition game at some minor league park and you're starting in 2 days, hey, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. But you know something's going to happen. You know, and you played well enough to make the ball club. It's just either numbers, money. There's some reasons why you're not on this team.
Culberson takes a strike on a breaking ball.
No, health is a big thing with every ball club. You go back to 07, the Rockies stayed pretty healthy. World Series playoffs, stayed healthy all year long. The rotation particularly. Same thing in 09.
Yeah, in 09 in particular, the rotation was able to stay intact till the last couple of weeks of the season. Culberson facing his hometown team. Talking about the numerous ties a lot of the Rockies players have to that southeastern corridor. Michael McHenry, who just struck out. Another one. He wasn't with the team down in Atlanta, but he's from Tennessee. And Floyd strikes out Culberson on 3 pitches. Dickerson left at second base. We are through 4. Atlanta leading 2-0. First Bank free checking at efirstbank.com. Christian Bergman making his major league debut. Shutout baseball, no-hit baseball. In fact, through the first 3 innings, then gave up a couple of markers in the 4th. He also picked off his first big league hit. So it's 2-0 as we go to the 5th inning. And he will face Andrelton Simmons to lead off at the 8th spot in the Atlanta lineup. Gavin Floyd on deck.
Very typical of Bergman. He just 61 pitches thrown. Working into the 5th inning. Said quick innings, quick outs. Last inning. Ball wasn't particularly hard. Hit hard anywhere. Just hit when people weren't playing. They end up with a couple of runs on it.
Simmons hitting just .207 over the last 16 ball games. And he pops this one up right side. Long run for Charlie Blackmon, but he gets there in foul ground. Good play by Charlie. 1 out. Gavin Floyd coming up. Time for our first question during our Twitter Talk inning. What happened to the pitcher we drafted in the 1st round last year from Oklahoma, Jonathan Gray? He's pitching in Tulsa. And he's had a pretty solid year in Tulsa.
If you go to MILB.com instead of MLB.com, go to MI, meaning minor leagues, MILB.com, and go to the AA League, Texas League. A lot of times you can just go to the TulsaDrillers.com and you can look up the stats and see what these draft picks are doing. Gray 6-3 right now. 3.97 earned run average. Had a couple of rough outings. Rebounded the other day and pitched well.
In your opinion, who's the most exciting player the Rockies picked in the draft? That'd be very difficult for us to answer in that we haven't seen any of them. You know, you read snippets about the guys, particularly the high-end guys, the guys that are drafted in the first few rounds, and it's exciting that the Rockies drafted, you know, 2 local kids in the first 6 rounds, and a kid out of TJ. Kyle Freeland, left-handed pitcher, went to University of Evansville. And the one guy I've seen is Max George, who's a high school kid out of Regis, has a base hit for Jason Hayward. And I can tell you one thing, at the high school level, he could flat out rake. Tremendous looking hitter. BJ Upton coming up, 1 for 2. How much time does a pitcher spend preparing for a start, Frage?
Well, 4 days, quite honestly. I mean, you're working on it the very next day. with all the physical things you do differently to get the stiffness, soreness out, the running. If that answers your question, and then it's a daily process all the way through to the day of the start. You're looking at scouting reports, you're looking at different things that are going to help you prepare for that start. The bullpens, the long toss, the flat ground. McHenry thought he had a strike there.
Yep, that misses to B.J. Upton. 1 ball, 1 strike. You know, he went to Greenbrier Christian Academy in Chesapeake, Virginia, same school Eddie Butler went to, same high school. You didn't know that, did you, George?
No.
1-2. Just missed. Lifted to center field. Drew Stubbs has got it. B.J. Upton retired. That ends the 5th inning. Get Christian Bergman some runs. Doing a real solid job. 2-0 Atlanta. Blackman here in the 5th inning against Gavin Floyd. It's time for you to tweet us your Rockies fan photos using the hashtag #COFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown during an upcoming game. Brought to you by AT&T. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stout from the ballpark. Rockies have lost 9 of 10. With the depleted lineup, they're not scoring runs with the regularity or anywhere close to it that they were at Coors Field the first 23 games of the year at Coors. DJ struck out his first time up with 2 men on. Rockies have had runner in scoring position in each of the last 3 innings. They went in order in the first. This is in the air down the right field line, and Hayward's not going to have a play. Jason Hayward, man, you walk up on him, that is one big fella. He's close to 6'6". Big strong kid, and he's still a kid. He got to the big leagues rather quickly. Grew up in the Atlanta area. That's one thing the Braves under John Shearholtz have always done. They could play in Atlanta, and there's a ton of great players in that part of the country. It seems like they get more than their fair share, doesn't it?
Well, they scout them out and they get, first, second round draft picks or guys that they think, because they had. Atlanta doesn't sign a lot of free agents, but they win a lot of games, so they're usually picking in the back end of the draft. And they'll get those guys that are pretty good players.
They got Brian McCann out of there. Jeff Francoeur, when he first came up, he was an Atlanta kid. Park Central, Parkway Central High School right there. Christian Bergman hitting 1,000. Of course, big league at bat, bounced the ball up the middle. He's going to get the average cut in half. Cruel game. Two outs. Charlie Blackmon will come up. Ground ball to third and a sacrifice bunt for Blackmon. Auto glass issues. Trust Safelite. Online at safelite.com. Phone number 303-287-5-grand. Down low on Blackmon. 1-0. Charlie's 0 for 7. In his matchups with Gavin Floyd. Good slider.
Trying to eliminate the power of Charlie Blackmon. He does a good job middle half in down, jerking the ball out of the ballpark, everything away from him. Evident of the forward strike zone.
Upton's got to play, and that was a quick 1-2-3 inning in the fifth for Gavin Floyd. To the sixth we go. The Braves up 2-0.
Bergman back out on the hill, his major league debut 4 Junes ago. The Rockies picked him in the 2010 draft, and if you look at the Rockies roster, they've got 4 players from that draft here tonight. Chad Bettis, Josh Rutledge, Corey Dickerson, and there is Bergman, drafted in the 24th round. And Drew and George, I talked to him after his press conference, and I said, what about that draft day? He said he was walking to his final exam at Cal Irvine when his phone rang. He didn't get drafted his junior year, so he was kind of sour on the draft, but the Rockies did draft him. I asked him what he signed for, and he said $672.50 after taxes. It was $1,000. He spent the money on food. That's what he told me. But he's an interesting guy. He plays guitar. He was a Dodgers fan, loved Mike Piazza, and then he told me Vinny Castilla was his favorite Rocky. He would see him at Dodger Stadium, and he said, now my locker's right next to Vinny.
Funny how things work, huh?
It is strange. It's a weird game, and you can continue to persevere and get people out. Kind of be the guy under the radar. You know, so much conversation about Dan Winkler in Tulsa that had to leave the game the other day with an elbow injury. Hopefully that's not too serious. And you hear about Gray and Butler and Anderson. You know, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, what's Bergman doing? Well, he's getting everybody out in AAA. Probably the most consistent guy down there outside of Tyler Manson. Tyler's been pretty good. Christian Friedrich pitched really well the other day. Got beat 2-0, but he threw the ball very well.
One out. Justin Upton coming up.
I want to go to one of the amazing fireworks show Thursday, July 3rd after the Rockies-Dodgers game, courtesy of Lockheed Martin. Tickets available. They're going very quickly, as most fireworks games do here at Coors Field, the best fireworks show in baseball.
Justin Upton is 0 for 2 in the game, though he's hit 12 straight against the Rockies to the tune of a .426 average. He's got 5 home runs against the Rockies over the last 12. Justin, so many years with Arizona, 20 career home runs against Colorado pitching. 0-1. Line drive to right, and it's going to drop in front of Charlie Blackmon, so a 1-out single for Upton. Evan Gaddis coming up. We thank you again for tweeting in your questions during Toyota Talk. And as always, if you would like more answers to your questions, visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/RootSportsRM. Gaddis leading all big league catchers in home runs with 12. Devin Mesoraco of the Reds next at 9. That's a group that normally Willeen Rosario is going to be either ahead on that list or certainly among the top home run hitters behind the plate in baseball. But he's had a year where he's been on the disabled list and he's gotten off to a slow start. Runner takes off, and Upton, it's a fly ball to shallow right. Good deep by LeMahieu, and Justin will still get back. So Gaddis skies to right. 2 outs. That'll bring up Chris Johnson. He had an RBI single, line single to center in the 4th. 2-0 Braves. One on Johnson. Chris came with Justin Upton in that big deal a year and a half ago between Arizona and Atlanta.
So just enough late movement on that fastball that you just end up really getting in on the kitchen of a lot of hitters. The ball just kind of gets on you. You don't see it getting on you. It's a low 3/4, but you see the pitch count right now, 81 pitches, 55 strikes. Johnson in 13, Drew mentioned early in the game, 321, and 14, he's hit 251.
That's going to drop in right. but a base hit nonetheless. 2 aboard. Tommy La Stella coming up with 2 outs.
Well, on the outer half of the plate, that's a couple of times now Johnson has been able to react to that slider that's been up in the strike zone on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo, and just able to have enough strength to flip it into the outfield in front of Charlie Blackmon.
Stella twice has hit the ball to Dickerson outside. Braves have done it this year with pitching, as they typically do. You know, they have some big names in that lineup, George. They've been offensively challenged more often than not.
A very good bullpen, where they lost a couple out of there too. He does a very good job of managing that bullpen. Nice to have that anchor when you got a guy like Kimbrell at the backside of that thing. You know you got a pretty much good guarantee. 3rd all time. I thought that kind of shocking today. He's good. There's no question about it. 3rd all time with 150 more save opportunities. Behind Eric Gagne, who did it 91% of the time. John Smoltz 91% of the time. Kimbrell 89.6. Still great numbers. Joe Nathan, Mariano Rivera is 5th on that list.
He's the all-time save leader now for the Braves. He just recently moved in front of Smoltz.
154 out of 169. Excuse me, 155 out of 169.
3 balls and a strike on La Stella, and that misses badly. Now the bases are loaded. It's the second walk allowed. That's all by Bergman. And Jim Wright, for the first time, will visit with the 26-year-old from Altadena, California. Bases loaded for Andrelton Simmons with 2 outs.
Well, to receive the coupon, come by the ballpark. Hot Dog Days right around the corner. It's coming up. First 10,000, you're going to get this. It'll be against Atlanta tomorrow. 303 Rockies or Rockies.com/promotions. First 10,000, that's tomorrow. You'll receive a coupon for a $1 hot dog. Get tickets to that game against the Braves.
That's your favorite promotion. Go
right
tell everybody.
Now. Yeah, not really anymore.
It's not?
No, backed away from that.
You okay?
I like all the gnomes this year. They're right at the top of the list.
Simmons takes a strike. Chad Bettis, just recalled earlier today, he's getting loose for the Rockies. And Bergman, about 24 hours ago, were teammates down in Colorado Springs. Bases loaded, 2 outs, already 2-0 Atlanta. And Simmons hits it well to center, but Stubbs will have it. So a nice job pitching out of that little jam by Bergman. Bottom of the 6th up and coming. Atlanta up 2-0. Been a busy day for the Rockies. A number of moves were made, and once again it involves injuries. Eddie Butler, this was a surprise one. He has inflammation and discomfort in the armpit area, and they're calling it an injury or swelling, if you will, in the rotator cuff, and he was placed on the shelf today. Michael Kadire, with a shoulder injury after diving, was feeling better but not good enough to swing a bat, so he's on the DL for the second time. Chad Bettis brought up. Wilt Lopez was designated for assignment, and Christian Bergman's contract purchased from Colorado Springs, he's making the start tonight. The Rockies will need a starter on Wednesday in place of where that man Eddie Butler was going to start, and could be Tyler Matzik. You're just looking at options. John Gray just threw. Unfortunately, Daniel Winkler, as George told you last inning, he had to be removed from his last start in Tulsa, despite not giving up early in the game a hit. I think he was in the third or fourth inning, hadn't given up a hit, but felt discomfort in his elbow and had to leave in the middle of an inning.
Yeah, he was 3 2/3, no hits, a couple of walks, 4 strikeouts. Bergman, though, did a nice job in here. Notice Rex Brothers still throwing down in the bullpen. Bergman's pitch count at about 85 through 5, and I don't know if that's going to be the end of it. He doesn't come up to hit this inning necessarily, but I'd like to see the Rockies take a 3-2 lead. You saw the handshake and the smile, so yeah, that's a pretty good indication his night's over.
Well, listen, if that is it, 2 runs in 6 innings, your debut, just 5 hits, that was terrific.
It was outstanding.
Drew Stubbs at the plate. Last at bat, he lined out to right center field.
Struck out 4 in the ball game.
And walked 2.
Yep.
High fly ball, deep left center field.
Yeah, right into that coffin corner. That's the worst part of the ballpark. Try to hit one out right in there where it jets out. I know it says 415 in center, 390 in left center, but that's the deepest part of the park. Stubbs might have had it there.
The day after every Rockies win, get 40% off your online order at Papa John's. Enter the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Morneau, a swinging bunt. He was thrown out by Gaddis behind the plate, and he popped to short left field. The shortstop Simmons made the catch. Third time Morneau's batted in the 3-hole this year. Floyd kept the Rockies at bay down in Atlanta. He gave up 2 runs in the outing there and did not get a decision. The game eventually won 3-2 on a Gerald Laird base hit in the 8th inning for Atlanta. He went 6 2/3 in that outing at Turner Field. 2 runs, 7 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Think of the guys the Braves signed in the offseason. Now, they signed Floyd before all the injuries in spring training. He was coming off Tommy John. And then they had to make a couple other moves. Urban Santana was signed, and Santana has done a good job. Pulled to second. And then, of course, they signed Aaron Harang after he got released. And Harang, several starts, barely gave up a hit.
Yeah, he was outstanding. Now, he's got a little bit of late, but has been pitching very well. That's what kept this ball club right where it was. Or where it is, I should say, at this point, tied for first place in the National League East.
Tulowitzki with 2 outs and nobody on. 7 in a row now retired by Floyd. Rockies with just 2 hits.
Tell you what, he has really dotted the fastball and cut fastball. It's been 86, 87, but it's been down and on the outside part of the plate. He's thrown 77 pitches, 50 for strikes.
There's one thing we made note of down in Atlanta. All of their pitchers fill up the strike zone.
Well, you used to think it was Brian McCann because he was the guy behind the plate for so long. You start to look at the philosophy, what they sell guys on when they get there. A lot of the way Dave Duncan did it in St. Louis. Everything for them is away. They keep the ball away and down. Almost consistently, they show you in, but very rarely do they go in there very often.
Through 6, all Atlanta. They're up 2-0.
Good all night long. The first inning, you get an error, then it came back, battled through that, able to get a strikeout. Backup slider on B.J. Upton. Called third strike. They caught a couple of guys. Threw the ball right by Hayward late in the game. Right, all in all, very pleased with the outing for Berkman. He's going to turn it over to Rex Brothers now. Rex Brothers will come into this ball game. Walt Weiss with the pat on the back, the high fives. 30 ball games for Rex, amid a little over 5 ERA, 27 innings, 24 strikeouts. Walks and big hits at inopportune times have cost Rex. And the low point came the other day in the Arizona game where he didn't get an out, 5 runs given up. But as a reliever, you got to put that in the past. Forget about it. And I've talked about this on telecast before. Hitters successful 3 out of 10, you're in the Hall of Fame. They think you're wonderful. You hit 300. If relievers can be successful 65 to 70% of the time, you're part of that elite group when you're in the setup role or working on the back end of a game. Keep that in mind when they fail.
Oh, 0-1 on Floyd, 0-2 on Floyd.
I think it's easy for a ball club or for anybody, honestly, to start pointing fingers when the team starts to struggle. Martin getting loose down in the bullpen for the Rockies. You start to point fingers. You start to look at different things that have gone on. It's kind of like a basketball game, folks. You know, they remember the guy that missed the free throw at the end of the game that cost them the game. They don't remember the 22 turnovers and the other eight free throws that were missed prior to all that happened.
Good pitch. Slider strikes out Floyd. Now Christian Bergman nothing to be displeased about in his big league debut. 6 innings, 2 runs. As George told you, 5 hits, a couple walks, 4 strikeouts. And he didn't get unnerved. I go back to the first inning. First hitter he faces is this guy, Jason Hayward. He hit the ball sharply, but right at Tulowitzki. And Tulo reached down. The ball went underneath his glove for an error, just third on Tulowitzki. And, you know, there was no panic. He got the next 3 hitters out.
He had the next 3 hitters out. I think, too, almost 4 years older than Eddie Butler, 4 years older than a lot of younger guys. He's 26 plus right now. And that makes all the difference in the world for me. I mean, as far as maturity, being able to handle things. In other words, nothing's been given to him on a silver platter. He's had to earn everything he's got. These guys have a tendency to really appreciate what's given to them throughout the game.
2-0. There's been too many of these for Rex, where he falls behind hitters, the walk's way up.
16 walks, 28 innings, totally uncharacteristic of Rex brothers.
And not close misses. And those 3 for Rex have kind of been emblematic of the difficulty he's had this season. 3 bad misses.
And I think, too, the other side of this for fans at home, it's hard to understand this at times because they're playing at the major league level. He's not trying to miss. Trust me. He wished that he was just throwing strike after strike after strike, out after out. Nobody's more frustrated right now than Rex brothers.
3-1 and ball 4 to Hayward. Bring up B.J. Upton, 1 for 3. The Ford Strike Zone is powered by Ford SUVs. The versatility you need in the MPGs and quality you deserve. It's the smarter way to get there. Ford, go further. BJ between 2004 and 2012, some outstanding years with Tampa. Never a big average guy, George. He had 255, but he had 118 home runs. Stole a ton of bases. This is fouled off his foot. Drove in almost 450 runs in that time frame with Tampa. Since he signed the $75 million deal with Atlanta, he's hit 192. In a year and 2+ months. Just 14 home runs, just 41 ribbies. Got untracked a little bit against the Rockies when Colorado was down at Turner Field.
Well, one thing that he has done, and that's continue to play a superior center field. But that's not a situation where it's $15 million worth. Got cramps in your hands today? Mine do that when I run 3 to 4 miles every mornings too.
I've heard that about you.
Defensively for the Rockies, they'll shorten it up in the middle of the infield. Culberson's going to play behind, well behind third base, particularly with 2 strikes now. Allow him to have as much range as he can have.
Swung on and missed, and that's been a big issue for Upton. He struck out 75 times now.
Threw the ball right by him tonight. Elevated fastball, had a little giddy up behind it. Put it in a great location on the outside corner. Very difficult for right-handers to catch up to that at 93 miles an hour. Rex has faced one left-hander in this inning. That was Hayward. He walked him on 5 pitches. Good slider.
Yeah, real good slider.
Yeah, at 85, that's a power slider. Another look at it, hands on top, driving to that outside corner, really big tilt with a lot of velocity.
And that's in there. Good pitch.
You got a lot of choices now. You go that fastball away thinking he's looking for slider, throw it right by him. Where he doesn't react to it or just snap off 3 straight sliders in a row and put him on that outside corner and away from him. You stay out of this area here with the slider, because if you hang it, it gives him a free swing on it.
He got it. Good pitching by Brothers. Though he walked Hayward, he ends up striking out the side. So we go to the bottom of the 7th. The Rockies with just 2 hits, but they're only down 2 runs. Check the Cooney Lexus look back. Major league debut for 26-year-old Christian Bergman, and he pitched well. 6 innings, he allowed just 2 runs, both came in the 4th inning. 5 hits, couple walks, 4 strikeouts. But the Rockies have done nothing against Gavin Floyd, the veteran American leaguer. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs thus far. Chris Johnson with a solid single to drive in the 2nd run. Freddie Freeman comes home for Atlanta. Again, that was in the 4th inning. Cooney Lexus, where luxury has a new address, open in Greenwood Village and also Colorado Springs. Corey Dickerson is 0 for 1, a strikeout and a walk. Bats in the bottom of the 7th inning. Slider off the plate, ball 1.
Well, Walt trying to play his bullpen cards here. He's got Ottavino throwing right now with 3 right-handers. Upton, Gaddis, and Johnson coming up.
Swing pitch goes the way of Dickerson, so it's 2 balls and a strike on Corey.
Yeah, their bullpen stretching, but no one throwing.
A lot of short innings, pitch-wise.
Yeah, there has been. He just hadn't been to the 7th, but 2 other times. The guy coming off Tommy John. They may want to watch the pitch count. What happens?
High fly ball, deep left field. Dickerson has hit it out, and it's 2-1. 8th home run for Corey Dickerson. towering shot to left center field.
A lot of people don't realize the strength Dickerson has when you go into left field. You watch batting practice if you're early at the park someday, folks, you'll see a lot of that. A lot of deep, high, long drives, elevated fastball. Dickerson got under just enough of this and solid enough to drive out to left field. What a pretty sight at Coors Field. Coming on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo on this swing. A lot of times on that elevated ball away to left-handers, tough to get on top of, but enough to drive it. He did it.
It's the 8th home run in 108 at bats. Behind second base, Stella makes the play. And McHenry loses an opportunity for a base hit.
Major League Baseball, People Magazine, and Target are celebrating teachers in your community. Vote for the teacher who will represent your team at the 2014 All-Star Game, July 15th. AllStarTeachers.com. Make sure to vote for your Rockies All-Stars also.
Culberson, a walk and a punch out. 2-1 ball game. Two O's in there, 2-1.
92-mile-an-hour fastball, but it had a late cut on run to it. Pitch to pull the trigger on.
To short and Simmons.
Doug, who was a big right-hander we signed last year from the White Sox that came over, won 160-something games?
John Garland.
Think back to when they talking about the White Sox winning. Floyd and Garland were their big 1-2 punch. 2005 when they won the world title. And now you've got John Garland has retired after being released from the Rockies, but Floyd has come back off of this surgery. He's very young in 05, and they've added a very valuable piece to the puzzle down in Atlanta.
Off the plate, ball one on LeMahieu, a strikeout and a fly ball to center field. Braves lead Major League Baseball in quality starts. 74% of their starts this year have been by a Major League definition of quality start. That's 6 innings or more, 3 runs or less.
Floyd's doing just what you need to do at Coors Field. He has 10 ground ball outs tonight, 6 fly ball, 4 strikeouts.
Two and one. Braves took 6 of 7 against the Rockies last year. 112 and 62 all time against Colorado. They had the best winning percentage of any opponent for the Rockies in their 22-year history.
Talked about Bergman a little earlier in the ball game, but John Lucan is the guy that signed him. Needs to be patted on the back. 4th round pick. UC Irvine, John Wilkins, Southern California area. Northern California kind of split that up now. It's a good sign.
Yeah, tremendous sign. 24th round pick to the big leagues. Ryan Wheeler, if this inning gets extended. It will. Third walk issued by Floyd. And Freddie Gonzalez wants a left-hander. Luis Avilan will come aboard when we come back. Gavin Floyd goes 6 2/3. He leads with a 2-1 lead. And photo of the game.
That's Mary Beth.
Well, she's having fun. Big smile at a recent Coors Field ball game. Tweet your photo to #COFanPhoto for a chance to be seen just like this in an upcoming game broadcast. 2 outs. Ryan Wheeler at the plate. Pinch hitting. And now Ryan Wheeler's been called back and Brandon Barnes will pinch hit. The Rockies will be dangerously thin with Wheeler being called back for Barnes. Avalon on the hill. And the reason I say that is you only have 4 guys on the Rockies bench right now. They added Bettis in the bullpen.
Well, realistically, you got 1 until you get to the end because you got Rosario as the catcher. Managers never like to go to that. Avilan is jumping in just like he did a year ago. 33 games now, 3rd most among everybody in baseball. It's National League and American League. 3-1 a year ago. He pitched in 75 ball games.
Barnes has been so clutch in this situation. Only Rockies win the last 10 days he provided with the 10th inning triple off the right center field wall on Saturday to drive home Morneau.
Walt playing the cards right now to try to tie this thing up. A couple of outs, 2-0 count. Fastball running away from Barnes for a swing and miss, 2-1 count.
The Rockies really have a 9-man bullpen right now because they haven't replaced Butler yet. Has to starting pitcher on Wednesday, so they'll have to make another move prior to Wednesday's ball game against the Braves. They lost Kadire to the DL today and Butler to the DL. Bettis was brought up, and the other move was activating Bergman. So 2 pitchers activated, 1 in the pen, and thus only 4 on the Rockies bench among position players. Butler had an MRI today on that shoulder. We'll have the results for you tomorrow. Pass those along the pregame show at 6 o'clock. Runner takes off and foul ball. We'll have DJ coming back to first.
4 stolen bases for DJ on the year, and he got a pretty good jump here. He'd come right out of the hand. That ball, yep, sure did, right off the end of the bat.
If it stays in Gaddis's glove, he can go through and try to throw him out, and if LeMahieu's safe, he's safe. But once the foul tip was not held, it becomes a foul ball, and LeMahieu has to return. Barnes bounces this up the middle, and it has eyes. LeMahieu will cut the bag and go to third. Barnes to second. Safe. Hustle play, Brandon Barnes, and now the go-ahead run is in scoring position with 2 outs. Gotta love how he plays the game.
He took advantage of a situation when he went hard into first base because he didn't know if it'd be caught in the play trying to be made with 2 outs. Then he went ahead and turned it up a notch when he saw the ball get through at second base unoccupied. Now the race is on because both middle infielders went after the baseball. DJ LeMahieu on into third base. Barnes coming right out of the box thinking, I better get it up the line in a hurry. He makes the turn. It's unoccupied. Then it's a race between he and looked like Simmons, who'd gone out on the ball. And then to come back in on it. Couldn't make it.
You got to score that a double.
It is a double. No other way to score.
So Blackman against Avalon. Walt Weiss was asked about Charlie facing left-handers. He said, you look at his splits, they've been solid both ways. And to his point, Charlie's hitting .290 against lefties, .307 against righties.
And .321 with the runners in scoring position, so he's had big numbers all the way around. I think if you'd ask everyone April 1st, you think Charlie Blackman on June the 9th will have 11 home runs, 40 RBIs? The answer would have been no.
Blackman with a comeback here, and that'll end the threat. So the Rockies got the crowd involved. They had runners at second and third, but Blackman hit right back to the box. The Rockies got on the board. Corey Dickerson led the inning off with a booming home run to left center field. 2-1 as we go to the 8th. As we go to the top of the 8th inning, Justin Upton, Evan Gattis, Chris Johnson. Who wants tacos? Fans follow @RootSports_RM on Twitter, and you'll receive alerts when the Rockies do score more than 7 in a ball game. Now on the hill is Adam Ottavino for the Rockies.
Another guy that's thrown in an awful lot of ball games this year. 31 to be exact, a record of 0-2, a fine earned run average of 2.89. 28 innings, 28 strikeouts, just 4 walks.
Sets up nicely for Ottavino. 3 right-handed bats. And the first pitch fastball at 93. Strike 1.
Walt has taken some criticism of late the way the bullpen has been handled, but tonight I don't agree with what's being read or written about Walt and handling of the bullpen. If your starters don't go deep, you're kind of stuck with what you got to try to do. And tonight he handled it perfectly. He had brothers set up to where he would be able to face Hayward and Freeman. He walked Hayward, struck out Freeman. Now you have 3 right-handers in a row for Ottavino here in the 8th. Because I can tell you who's pitching the 9th for Atlanta.
Nasty slider, but it's taken off the plate. 2-1. Shea Simmons is throwing right now for the Braves. And another slider off the plate. Rare walk by Ottavino, just the 5th he's allowed this year.
Well, there's so many planned tickets available, packages here at the ballpark. 10-game plans, which include fireworks games, just start at $110. Take advantage of this opportunity.
Evan Gattis had an RBI ground out in the 4th inning. And Bergman went 6 innings. And he gave up just 2 runs on 5 hits in his big league debut in front of mom and friends. And he got his first big league hit in his first big league at bat. Bounced one up the middle. Freeze Justin Upton, who's got 6 stolen bases at first. Gattis, during his 9-game hitting streak, has hit 4 home runs. This is a strong cat. Watched his first round at BP. It's usually, I don't want to call it a finesse round, but guys typically in big league debut are going to work the ball the other way. Well, he did that. And I swear he was swinging about 75%, George. The ball's going into the second deck.
Oh, he's strong, extremely strong guy. That's what got everybody's attention when he was becoming a free agent at the time.
He's a burly guy.
When I say free agent, he was just...
There goes Upton, and base hit to left. That's a 10-game hitting streak for Gattis. 1st and 3rd, nobody out.
Well, a pretty good pitch too by Ottavino. That ball's lower half, outside corner, and a shot left field. Line drive out to left field. Put runners 1st and 2nd. Johnson's high on their list. You can see on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermode, just out of the reach. Johnson has hit into 11 double plays this year, the most in the National League. Will they let him swing it away or try to tack on and let him sacrifice? He's a guy that hit .321 a year ago, fought for the National League title. He's going to swing away and a base hit up the middle, and the run's going to score.
He got a fastball at 94, and he drove it up the middle, so it's 3-1. A walk and 2 straight singles greet Adam Ottavino.
Yeah, 16 RBIs. 2 RBI night for Chris Johnson. See him come right on the fastball here. Had some late tail and started to sink. Johnson caught it well out front, inside out swing, hand close to the body, and just shot it right by Ottavino and LeMahieu.
One of the other issues for the Rockies, if you follow them, you know that their pen has really hit a rough patch over the last 7 home games. Their ERA in the pen at home has been above 7. The starters' ERA during that same period has been above 6. They had a team ERA right around 4 at home this year prior to the last 7 ball games, 6 of which have been losses. 2-strike count on La Stella. Strikes out Stella with a fastball.
Frank Morales
and Simmons coming up.
Frank Morales is starting to get loose in their bullpen. The reason behind that, you're 2 shots away from getting to their pitcher's spot. They got Schaefer, a left-hander, 2 switch hitters, and Kelly Dolman, one of those guys, really swings it well from the left side of the plate, and their main pinch hitter. I say Kelly, Ryan Doman, played for the Twins and then the Pirates.
Ground ball to third. See if the Rockies can turn it. There's 1, there's 2. However, another run for Atlanta. Leadoff walk. Justin Upton came around to score on the base hit by Chris Johnson. 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Atlanta leading. For the CenturyLink link to what's next. Rockies have a difficult schedule upcoming. 8 straight series against teams above 500. 3 more with Atlanta after this evening. Then it's on to San Francisco and LA. Home against a couple of tough teams in the Central, Milwaukee and St. Louis. And then the Rockies will go to Milwaukee. Ramiro Pena's come in defensively at second base. It's a double switch as well, so Pena will lead off at the top of the 9th inning. And departing is La Stella. Chase Simmons, in just his 6th big league game, will throw the 8th inning here on the road at Coors Field in a 2-run game. Back with breaking in a guy slowly. This guy's got a very good arm. And at Mississippi, he was closing games. He was summoned to the big leagues at the end of May. He had an 0.78 ERA in Mississippi. 14 of 14 in save opportunities. Stubbs takes a strike. It's 1-1. And here he is in a significant setup role.
Well, you think to their organization, what they look at is to bring a guy up. Okay, let's start him out in the 5th, 6th inning long guy and see what we think and watch it. But he has proven so far to come out and do the job as a closer. Last year he had 24 saves at Rome. In 42 innings, he struck out 66. He walked 5.
We've talked so much about the draft the last couple of days because the draft was just last week, and we made mention of the fact that the Rockies started Christian Bergman tonight. It was a 24th round pick out of Cal Irvine. Well, this young man was a 22nd round pick, George, just 2 years ago out of Southeast Missouri State.
Well, they haven't been afraid to run him, I can tell you that. Meaning to run him to the big leagues in a hurry.
Well, he gets another ground ball. Morneau is out. Tulowitzki's 0 for 3. Line drive to left. Ground ball to second. Ground ball to short. Just to say this about the Dodgers. When they had that stellar bullpen late, they made it like a 6-inning game. That's when Jim Tracy was managing. They had Gagne in the 9th inning. Mr. Automatic. That was 96 with sink on it.
How about his curveball? The whole shoot match here.
It's a good scout getting this guy in the 22nd.
Yeah, I mean, you start thinking about it too. Did they make a couple adjustments? Was he 92, 93? Was he slender? What happened to his arm? Was he hurt? Was he not? Did he fall in the draft because of injuries in his college career? You know, nobody knows those answers.
One.
Southeast Missouri State University up in the Kansas City areas has been very, very good at developing players. They went to Division I a couple of years ago.
And think of what Kimbrell's did. Kimbrell wasn't a 1st-round pick. He was a 3rd-round pick.
Well,
at a Wallace State Community College in Alabama.
I'm sure that part of that was his 5'9" frame too. 5'10" frame. People were scared of him.
One and 2 on Tulowitzki. Kimbrell was the same way, George. He only spent 2 years in the minor leagues.
I watched him in Rome, Georgia one night. Pitched against Asheville when I was down watching Parker make a start. Parker had told me, wait, if you see this guy come in, you just wait. He was 98 miles an hour. The slider was 93. Pitched 2 innings, struck out 6. Very impressive.
Simmons 1-2 pitch.
He even looks a little bit like Craig Kimbrell. That facial. Huh? What do you think?
Not a big guy. 5'11", 175. He's 23. Kimbrell listed at 5'11", 220.
I played with a guy in New York named Louisiana Lightning, Ron Guidry. Threw it up to 95 miles an hour. He's 5'10", 160 pounds soaking wet.
What's he doing now?
raising peanuts in Louisiana. Nothing. Not a thing.
And at 97, Simmons strikes out Tulowitzki, who confirms with home plate umpire Gabe Morales that it would have been a strike. 3-1 as we go to the ninth. Atlanta. Southwest.com. By AT&T, mobilizing your world. By 5-Hour Energy, helping recognize those who, despite their own needs, put others first. And by Ram Trucks, the Ram 1500 is Motor Trend's 2014 Truck of the Year and first ever back-to-back champion. We go to the ninth inning. The Rockies trailing Atlanta 3-1. First of 4 against the Braves here in the Mile High City. After the ballgame, the Toyota postgame report. And here's Jenny with a preview.
Thanks, Drew. Coming up on the Toyota postgame show, we're going to talk a little quality over quantity. Christian Bergman made his major league debut with a quality start. It was quite a good one at that. We'll discuss. Plus, in a pinch, Brandon Barnes had his 9th pinch hit of the season in the 7th inning. That ties the most in the major leagues. And braving the elements, Colorado has struggled against the Braves in years past, but there is always rally ball coming up in the 9th. Drew?
Jenny, thank you. And Franklin Morales will throw the 9th inning. Frankie being used out of the bullpen now. And since being inserted in that bullpen, George's done a good job.
It's a pretty good job, and I think that's something you're going to have to grow into because of his unfortunate record as a starter of late. Power arm, you can go out and just let it fly. There's no pace to it now. You got 1 inning to get through this situation, and Pena will lead it off. He was inserted in a double switch into second base for La Stella, so he'll start off and swing the bat against Franklin Morales here in the top of the 9th inning.
So Ramiro Pena, and then the top of the order.
By the way, if you're wondering what's going on with the Rockies minor league situation right now, the AAA team 27-35. They're 6.5 back. Their season goes the entire year, so a lot of time to make that difference up. Tulsa is 35-26. They have a 5.5 game lead with 4 to go in the Texas League. The one team that has struggled this year has been the Modesto Nuts, 22-43. They're 19 back. They've already been eliminated. 2 guys that have shined there. Trevor Story should be back shortly. He was hit in the hand not too long ago. But Chris O'Dowd, who went to Regis and then on to Dartmouth, has played extremely well there, hitting .288 going into tonight, and 9 stolen bases. And then at low A, 37-26, they're 5 back with 3 to go there in Asheville, and a lot of good young arms and young prospects. McMahon has played very well there,
As has David Dahl. This ball pulled foul. Well, now he's looking, and DeCenzo dives. Self-preservation important when nobody's on base. Mike Minor and Juan Nicasio tomorrow, the respective pitchers. Here's the 1-2. Got a pitcher's duel going on down in Arlington, Frazier.
Yeah, what do you got?
Indians 17 and the Rangers 7 going to the 9th.
Not a good situation for everyone there.
Peña's gone. Well, there's a good situation for some guys, I'm sure.
No, not really.
Guys who swing the bats. Auto glass issues, trust Safelite at safelite.com or call 303-287-5000. Lonnie Chisenhall for the Indians, we just saw him, has hit 3 home runs tonight for the Indians. A team that was hurt and that's playing a lot better. Is this in the air to shallow center? And Stubbs with great wheels tracks it down. Hayward's retired. The Astros, middle of the 6th, they're leading Arizona 4-1. Nationals in the 3rd. Quick jump on the Giants trying to cool off San Francisco. They're up 4-1. Strasburg pitching for the Nats. Dodgers earlier beat the Reds 6-2. Scott Van Slyke hit 2 home runs for LA. Dan Herron is now 6-4. B.J. Upton is 1 for 4 tonight. (2-0). Rockies against Kimbrel will have Dickerson, McHenry, and Culberson. Two and 1. Two and 2.
Well, if Kimbrel's able to preserve this win for the Atlanta Braves in the 9th inning, it'll be the first win for Gavin Floyd since October the 3rd, 2012.
Frankie 90-92 when he was starting, George, kind of, you have to think of the long haul as a starting pitcher. Now he can just air it out when he comes out of that pen. That last heater at 94.
You're right. I mean, when you're coming out of the pen, you can let it fly much more than trying to pace yourself through a ball game.
He went off speed there, and it was just below the knees. 3 and 2. Loses him. So that'll bring up Freeman.
Now Chris Martin, a big right-hander, is warming up down in the Rockies bullpen in preparation. If he has to face after Freeman Justin Upton, he's got Gaddis and Johnson, so this will be the last batter for Frankie.
Ground ball to second. DJ's got it, and he goes to Tulowitzki since his momentum was headed in that direction anyhow. So Morales works the ninth inning safely, and now we'll go to the bottom of the ninth. The Rockies need to rally against one of the game's best closers, Craig Kimbrell. On a night in which the Rockies saw Christian Bergman make his major league debut, and it was a successful one in terms of what he did on the hill. 6 innings, he allowed just 2 runs, but the offense has been shut down by first Gavin Floyd for 6 2/3, then Luis Avalon, Shea Simmons, and now it's Craig Kimbrell. The only run for the Rockies, a solo home run by Corey Dickerson. Their only run yesterday, solo home run by Troy Tulowitzki. Kimbrell making his 25th appearance. Now he has kicked 3, including one Saturday down in Phoenix.
40 strikeouts and 22 2/3. The all-time save leader in Atlanta Brave history. Craig Kimbrell did that the other day with 155. Smoltz, Garber. Some pretty good names on there. John Rocker, 83 saves. Mark Wohlers threw extremely hard with 112 strikeouts all time. Average per 9 innings. Kimbrell 15. He's #1. Chapman, Jansen, Greg Holland, and Rob Dibble is 5th. Looks somewhat like a vulture sitting on a cliff looking down. His arms spread wide, strike 1.
He rolls out of bed throwing 97.
Well, you wonder about guys with that height. Are they going to be able to maintain 97? But you look at his build, big broad shoulders, which is huge to me. You normally don't see a lot of injuries with broad shoulders. For whatever reason, they're able to handle workload. And it's a very well proportioned body, very strong lower half.
98, and it's 0-2. I almost think with pitchers now, because they so frequently get hurt, what can he give you in the here and now, and forget the difficulty of trying to project, you know, will he stay healthy, won't he stay healthy? Because that is almost impossible to determine. Some say, well, when guys throw, you know, super hard, they're going to break, and many of them do, and you know, you fix them. And then there are guys like Justin Verlander, who's always been one of the game's hardest throwers. He's never gotten hurt.
Yeah, there's guys that follow suit with, and certain guys that have been able to throw with pain and be able to get by with it. But before the velocity disappeared, they were in their usually mid to late 30s. He's going to pitch 1 inning every time he goes out.
And Kimbrell, George, if he were to get hurt tomorrow, and obviously you don't wish that on any athlete, but he saved 155 games already.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that's well taken care of financially, but he likes the competition and wants to get back to middle of October to late October.
First pitch was at 97. The next three were at 98. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Dickerson. Dickerson gone. And that'll bring up McHenry.
When it's 97, moving the way it does out of his hand, you almost look at your bat like, man, is there a hole in this thing? I thought I was right on it. The ball just gets by you.
Kimbrel made one appearance in that series in Atlanta. He saved the first ball game. A 3-2 victory for Atlanta, and he did it by striking out the side. He has done that 22 times in his career, where he's had a 1-2-3 ninth, with all 3 being strikeouts. McHenry takes ball 1, and he started out that inning in Atlanta with a strikeout at Dickerson. He faced Rosario and then LeMahieu down in Atlanta. Charlie Culberson is on deck for the Rockies. McHenry tonight 1 for 3. 2-0 count. Braves 14-16 on the road. Two and 1.
On the other side of it, he never gets unfazed by the fact, I'm talking about Kimbrel, that I'm 2-0 on a guy. I'll just do my best to bring 3 straight across. He's even to count 2-2 on McHenry, the last fastball of 98. He ain't throwing a slider yet. It's usually 88-91.
Two, and that's line to center field. Upton standing right there, 2 outs. Two outs. Charlie Culberson with nobody on. Just missed down low. Rockies with just 4 hits tonight. The Braves held to 7 hits. Rockies pitched well tonight. Ottavino touched for a run out of the pen. It's 2 runs against Christian Bergman, though, in 6 innings in his big league debut.
That will get your attention. You know, they have that reputation of staying to the outer half of the plate, and then all of a sudden you get one of these. Whoop.
LeMahieu's on deck. And Kimbrel hits the zone there. It's 3-1.
Play catch at 95.
Rockies in that game yesterday had only 3 hits, rain short. 4 times this year they've been held to 4 hits. Ball 4. So the Rockies will get the tying run to the plate, and LeMahieu's going to be called back. And Willeen Rosario will swing the bat here. Wall playing the one bopper card he has on his bench tonight. Rosario not starting only because Michael McHenry had caught Christian Bergman frequently down in Colorado Springs. They wanted to keep that matchup together in Bergman's big league debut. So Willeen, 28 home runs 2 years ago, 22 last year. Will step up against Craig Kimbrel. Power on power.
Rosario is 1 for 4 in his career against Craig Kimbrel. So we'll see what happens here. It's power, as Drew said, power on power. You're going to get matched up where you want it. And one hit a single. The other times there have been strikeouts. Tough enough to come off the bench and try to catch up to somebody at 93, 94 coming out of the bullpen. Imagine 98. Hello, how are you? .292 career hitter. For Rosario is a pinch hitter.
Good swing there. One luxury that all teams have now is Willeen's been underneath, swinging the bat, hit probably against Garrett Carson, who throws BP every day at home. Once the game begins in one of the 2 cages, it's right up the stairs from the Rockies clubhouse. Garrett does a terrific job getting these guys ready in the middle of a game, and that's, I guarantee, where Willeen was.
And no disrespect to Garrett, but it isn't 97.
No, unless Garrett moves up to about 40 feet away, right?
And if it was 97, he wouldn't be up there in the cage throwing the guys in the middle of the game.
That's right. Oh, 0-1 on Willeen. Culberson at first, 2 outs in the 9th, 3-1 Atlanta. And another high-quality pass through the zone by Rosario. He got a couple pitches.
He has gotten a couple. The Mike Shaw Subaru Super Mo illustrates it. This was down and out away from him. Willeen with the big swing. Typically, if not in altitude, this is where you would see the hard slider from Kimbrel, but I think in this situation he'll stick to the fastball. He doesn't want to risk leaving anything in the middle of the plate up.
He went slider.
Nasty too at 84.
Yeah, he broke it off, and the Rockies fall 3-1 to Atlanta. And the dominance for the Braves continues against the Rockies. In their last 26 games, they're 21-5. And the Rockies have now lost 10 of their last 11. Just 1-6 on this 10-game homestand. 3-1's the final. Gavin Floyd with his first victory since